Let's go. All right, welcome back, you guys. Here it is, 2025 Infiniti QX80 Autograph. Just a huge luxury 3-row SUV. This is, you know, there aren't too many vehicles in this segment, and it's, you know, normally reserved for the Cadillac Escalades of the world, but Infiniti is still going at it. They've redesigned the QX80 for this model year. The Armada, which this shares the same underpinnings, body on frame. It's essentially a truck, it's a real truck. The Armada sticks to the kind of standard Infiniti design language, whereas here the QX80 has gone full Range Rover, full Land Rover. They've stolen the autograph. Well, Range Rover calls it, or Land Rover calls it autobiography. The Hyundai Santa Fe calls it calligraphy, and here Infiniti calls it the autograph. But you can kind of tell the same design language. Slim headlights. Well, actually the headlights are down here. Running lights up there. Huge grille, not quite as big as Lexus's like grille on the LX. It's a little bit much. 22-inch wheels here. It's a good looking SUV. I don't know, I kind of almost prefer the Armada, the looks of the Armada, but this looks sleek. It's definitely giving off that luxury feel. The door handles, of course, will go back into the vehicle if you ask them to. There's no body colored pillars or anything on the side here, just kind of flows really nicely. Little wing on the back. Look at that, that's gotta add a little bit of downforce. Just kidding, that's gonna add 0.1 miles per gallon. Yeah, the rear end, it's kind of got a light bar, but I like that they didn't just do what every manufacturer is doing these days, which is just a standard light bar across. They've actually kind of split it up with some metal inserts in there. Looks good. The big news with the QX80 is they've ditched the 5.6 liter NA V8. Now under the hood is a VR35. You heard me right, that's not VR30. So if you guys know, the Nissan Z comes with the VR30. The Nissan GTR, which just went out of production, comes with the VR38. But this is a lot closer linked. It's a lot more closely linked to that VR30. Aluminum block, aluminum heads, dual overhead cam, variable valve timing on the intake side. It's basically or you could think of it as a stroked version of the Nissan Z engine. So it has the same bore, the stroke has just been lengthened. I mean, of course, there's probably a little bit more to it than that, but let's take a look at the rear here, the third row, the second row, and then we'll go for a drive. All right, so we do have quite a bit of space back here. Electronic controls to slowly put down the third and second rows. Oh yeah, I have my camera bag there. But yeah, we've got a plug here. We've got a decent amount of space. And if you're wondering, a full-size spare under there. Not sure if you guys can see that, but just a ton of space. You know, this segment of SUVs, Yukon, Lexus LX, Ford Expeditions, a little bit smaller and lighter than this, but they all kind of serve that huge kind of American family quite well. Little autograph here. It's a nice touch. Don't mind my camera on the side there. We also have the second row. So this one's been spec'd with the captain's chairs. That's the only way you can get the autograph. If you go a trim lower, then you can option it out and just have an 8th seat here. So when all the seats go down, this just remains. And then back here, actually I should turn it on so I can show you guys. There's a screen here in which I can actually control my seat massage. It's a massage, but it's really just kind of pushing the lumbar in and out. Not that great. Acura does it way better in the MDX. Volvo does it way better in the XC90 for a lot less money. But all these controls that I'm doing here, heated ventilated seats back here, and the climate control, you can do the exact same thing here. There's nothing in this screen that you can't do here. What's the point? I don't know. So if you want to spend the extra money, you can. There is a ton of storage space down here still though. You've got USB in the back there. Full leather, by the way, for the third row. If you go, and heated, if you go with the this autograph trim, which is just great. And in the first row, Great materials here, semi-aniline leather. I love this trim bit here. This is nice. I mean, it has some open pore wood, and then we've got these kind of inlaid laser cut metal stripes in here. It's something different, and I can appreciate that. We'll start it up here real quick. Start button over there. The first thing I noticed basically getting in here is that everything is visible. A lot of manufacturers have a difficult time with the steering wheel and covering up these giant 14.3-inch screens here and not being able to see all the information. I can always see everything, even down to the controls here for the lane keep assist, the trunk, and the heads-up display, and the e-brake down there. Everything is visible at all times, which is great. Yeah, tons of leather, lots of storage, really comfortable seats. They don't have thigh extensions, which that's a huge miss, but definitely more comfortable than the GMC Yukon seats that I experienced not too long ago. And then here is among the many changes that Infiniti's implemented here on this generation QX80, fully digital climate control. So if you get in the new generation Armada, they've kept the physical controls, which I prefer, especially because sometimes, there we go, they don't work. I thought this was going to be like a one-time glitch, but I've done that a bunch of times and the same thing happens. It's haptic feedback. I keep hitting that by accident. That's my fault. I'll blame myself for that. But there you go, heated steering wheel. There we go, finally. Thank you. So it's not perfect. They've moved park, reverse, neutral drive to the center here. That's not a deal breaker. I wish it was up here instead, like Mercedes does and a few other manufacturers are adopting now. But they've freed up a little bit of space here. They could have freed up more if they kept the physical controls kind of up here. You know, it's not too offensive, but I'd rather have physical controls. We got a cool box. Is it broken? No. We got a cool box down here. You can put some whatever, put some fruit, put some drinks, yeah, in there, and you can blast air-conditioned air into there and cool whatever you've got in there. Wireless charger in there. And a brand new steering wheel, ultra suede headliner, a ton of options, but I just want to drive, to be honest. So let's do that. Let's do that. Okay, you can customize the gauge cluster a little bit. You do have to dig through the menus a bit, so I am going to leave it exactly how it is. It's because we were on a hill. E-brake let off a little bit abruptly. So, you might be asking, Marcus, what are you sacrificing going from that NA V8 to this V6? Well, that would be instantaneous torque. You don't have that. You don't have the sound of the V8, but what you do have here, 450 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque. If we go here on the digital display, we can hit sport mode. Let's do a quick 0 to 60. Let's go. There we go, not bad. Actually a ton of torque. Turbos spool up pretty quickly. It's no dual clutch when you're full throttle. But as far as power goes and power delivery, you know, there might be certain very specific scenarios where you might miss that instantaneous V8 torque, but overall, this V6 does everything just as well. It's paired with a 9-speed automatic transmission. If you listen closely, actually, you don't have to listen closely at all. If you just listen, if you're present in the vehicle, the audible changeover above 4,000 RPM into completely augmented video game sounds is impossible to miss. It is so... Oh, took a second to shift down there. Yeah, there's a very distinct changeover between just a quiet, refined engine most of the time, really quiet in here too. But you don't hear the engine most of the time, but when you get into those higher RPMs, it is so fake, so augmented. Heavy steering, really heavy steering. Actually, not what I would expect from a luxury SUV, but do have paddle shifters as well. These work surprisingly well, surprisingly responsive. Going to manual here. See how it pulls from just 2,000 RPM. Pretty smooth. There's no noticeable turbo shove. The only scenario would be if you leave it in automatic and then it downshifts. It has to downshift first, and then you feel the turbo kind of threshold, even if you're at like 4,000 RPM. But oh, pretty good downshifts. That was delayed. So first gear, I guess it just did not want to give me all the torque. So there was a little bit of a disconnect there between the throttle pedal being pinned for a solid 1.5 seconds until the turbos spooled up. We'll keep going straight here. You know, is the engine interesting? No. Does it have character? No. Does it have gobs and gobs of torque? Yes. There's just a trade-off. You get way more torque here than you did before, well over 100 more pound-feet. But the sound, the refinement of the V8 is something that you might miss. It's good though. In most scenarios, it shifts smooth. Nothing too offensive as far as driving dynamics go. It handles fairly well. It's got double wishbone suspension front and back. For a body-on-frame, what is essentially a truck chassis, a 6,000 plus pound vehicle here, it handles decently. And on this air suspension with the electronic suspension, it basically will just kind of read the vehicle's movements and keep the body roll under control, keep it level, smooth as possible. It does a pretty good job. Obviously, those bigger bumps you're gonna feel a little bit more than you would in a unibody crossover or SUV. Yeah, high points. The lack of road noise in here is awesome. Visibility is great. They haven't ruined the visibility and cut the window size in half just to make it look better from the outside. They haven't done that, which is good. Fuel economy is marginally better. I think the average miles per gallon is 17 here. Let's give it one more pull at the end of the road here, and then we'll call it quits. What is this? Somebody's having a birthday party. Is it the German Shepherd's birthday party? That's a lot of balloons for a German Shepherd. We'll just go with that. We've been in sport. Let's see how it does in standard. Oh, by the way, yeah, standard 4-wheel drive here. It has lost the 2-speed transfer case though, so we just have the 4-high option there, if you guys can see it. But yeah, no more low range. Pretty good at kicking down there. Pretty good. All right, you guys. That's it. 2025 Infiniti QX80. starting here in Canada, $110,000 Canadian, of course. This one has tested the Autograph, everything. Here, $128,000 Canadian. In the US, that's 112,000 USD. You can spec a rear wheel drive base spec in the US. You cannot here. You have to get four-wheel drive and the second from the bottom trim. So it's a little bit more expensive here in Canada, but it might be worth it. Let me know what you guys think. I love these giant executive kind of American SUVs. I know it's not. Well, it is. Infiniti obviously is an American brand, but I know it's a Japanese vehicle. This engine's built in Japan, all that, but a giant body-on-frame three-row SUV is very American. And Infiniti finally has a competitive QX80 again with the interior, all the tech. If you want to watch my full review, the link is in the description on the main channel. Thanks guys for watching. This was just a quick POV drive. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you soon.